with the Mariners, more exciting news here. I know at the beginning of the offseason with the Mariners, it was, a lot of frustration with the 54% comments at the end of the year press conference, trading away fan favorites like Eugenio Suarez, Jared Kelenic. There were 3 trades this past week, and all of them made Seattle better. So we'll get into it. First, just hours after last week's episode aired, the team added infielder Jorge Polanco from the Minnesota Twins in a 5-person deal. So the Mariners received Jorge Polanco. If you're unaware with who Jorge is and his background, he's a 30-year-old hitting .255 with 38 runs, 18 doubles, 14 homers, 48 RBIs, and 4 stolen bases across just 80 games last year. Getting a little bit of hit with the injury bug, dealing with a left hamstring strain during the first half of the season. He is a switch-hitting infielder, which was big for the Mariners. They've dealt with so much with the lefty and right-handed matchups. Hit well on both sides. Has played third base as well. But as far as we're aware, and we've been told, the plan is for him to play second base and really lock down a position that the Mariners haven't had consistency in since Robinson Cano was here, and that's a decent amount of time previously. As mentioned, he did miss some time last year, but over the last 25 games that he played from August 26th to September 29th, he posted an .878 on OPS with 6 homers and 19 RBIs. The 4'11", 208-pound product out of the Dominican Republic was named an All-Star back in 2019 and has appeared in parts of 10 MLB seasons during his career. He's a career .269 hitter with 112 homers, 447 RBIs, and a .780 OPS across 832 career games. Again, this is exciting because the Mariners lock down that second base position, but with trades, you got to give something up. The Mariners send relief pitcher Justin Topa, right-handed pitcher Anthony Desclafani, who they acquired via trade earlier this offseason, prospect Gabriel Gonzalez, nicknamed Gabby, and then other prospect Darren Bowen. Bowen and Gonzalez, both folks, prospects that Mariners folks had a lot of excitement for. Gonzalez, a lot of talent in the outfield, spent the last year in high A ball with the Everett Aqua Sox. Bowen excited a lot of folks as well. In low A with the Modesto Nuts. Both of them gone. Again, with trades, these things got to happen. Whether you consider it an overpay or not, the Mariners solidified that second base position. Obviously, there's some injury history with Polanco, but this is exciting because, that consistency in second base is something the Mariners haven't had for years, and you continue to round out your lineup. The very next day, they made another trade. They sent a player to be named later or cash considerations, we don't know yet, for infielder/outfielder Samad Taylor from the Royals. Taylor made a name for himself from his MLB debut when he hit a walk-off homer against the Angels, so there's some excitement there if you're looking at in-division stuff. He's a 25-year-old making his MLB debut this past year, as I mentioned. He does have minor league options, so if he doesn't ultimately break the MLB roster out of camp, or if he does and he has to go back down, there is that option, thankfully. He's a 5'8", 160-pound rookie, went 8 for 8 in stolen base attempts, so there's a lot of speed on the bases there as well. In AAA Omaha for the Royals system across 89 games, he batted .302 with 65 runs scored, 23 doubles, 4 triples, 8 homers, 55 RBIs, 66 walks, and 43 stolen bases. So just looking at that, you can see a little bit of what the Mariners want, the versatility, getting on base, being able to steal bases. Talking about that versatility, he's appeared defensively at 4 positions for the Royals in left field, second base, third base, and center field. He's played 6 positions in his professional career, only having not appeared at first base, catcher, or pitcher. So, if you know the Mariners and you know the type of players that they tend to bring in, that super utility player, you think about Sam Haggerty, you think about Dylan Moore, those guys, there's a few more in the past that we could go over, but those are guys that Samad Taylor looks like in terms of what they're able to do, and this is an example of that. So that was just the second trade of the 3 this past week. The third, another exciting one, you lose Topa in that deal to acquire Jorge Polanco. You get some relief back in Gregory Santos. On the 3rd, the team acquired reliever Gregory Santos from the Chicago White Sox. He's only 24, so he's a young reliever who's already established himself a little bit, making 60 appearances out of the pen for Chicago in 2023. 5 saves and a 3.39 ERA with only 17 walks and 66 strikeouts. The righty averaged 98.8 miles per hour on his fastball, ranking in the 98th percentile for qualified pitchers via Baseball Savant. You look at some of these numbers. He only had a 1.5 barrel percentage in 2023 on opposing hitters. That's in the 100th percentile via Baseball Savant. Across 3 major league seasons, he's spent it with the Giants from 2021 to 22, and then most recently with the White Sox this past year. He was originally signed by the Boston Red Sox as an international free agent out of the DR on August 28, 2015, but was traded by Boston to San Francisco in exchange for infielder Eduardo Nunez on July 26 of 2017. Again, with the trades, something's got to go back. The Mariners sent reliever Prelander Berroa, outfielder Zach DeLoach, and the 69th overall pick in the 2024 draft. So I find it a little bit funny because some fans are unhappy with the returns, whether it's Berroa, DeLoach, Topa, or Gabby Gonzalez. I understand it. Those guys, I had a lot of fun watching Gabby Gonzalez. Prelander Berroa is exciting, particularly coming out of the pen. We saw a little bit of it with the stuff that he's got coming out of the bullpen for the Mariners. Some control issues there, but we'll look at the trades here because Samad Taylor with the player to be named later or cash considerations, we don't know what those are yet. We can't really make a judgment on that trade until we learn about that and see Samad Taylor's impact overall. But looking at the Polanco trade, again, you get an established second baseman and can lock down that position. It's one less area of need that you need to worry about. I understand that Justin Topa ate up a lot of important innings for you this last year, but he was a guy that the Mariners were able to find off the scrap heap relatively with relievers, and they've been able to do that the last few years with this pitching staff and the coaches with Pete Woodworth and co. I understand it, but again, as I mentioned a few times, with trades, something's got to go over. With the Santos trade, you look at Prelander Berroa. Gregory Santos is what you want Prelander Berroa to be, and you got him now, and he's established. You got to work on his fastball a little bit. He's got a great slider. He's got great velocity, and as I mentioned, he's already been doing this. He's got that control down. Berroa, he's exciting. I hope nothing but the best for him. He's got to work on his control, though. That's why we didn't see him more often for the Mariners at the big league level this year. DeLoach, he's got some excitement as well for a Mariners position player. The strikeouts were a real problem for him, especially at the AAA level that he was at last year. So I'm more than happy with it. Again, the only things that look maybe a little bit unsolidified for this Mariners lineup right now are left field, and that's kind of iffy because you got outfielders right now who can play left field, but it's not necessarily for certain who's going to start there the most through the course of the year. And then third base, whether it's going to be Luis Urias or Josh Rojas, it could be either one of them. They could platoon it. You'd like to get some consistency there and have a for sure option, but that's been the big key, is filling these holes for the Mariners this offseason. There was a lot of struggle because, it became more and more apparent that the resources available to President of Baseball Operations Jerry DiPoto and General Manager Justin Hollander were less than they had initially hoped going into the offseason. That's its own whole discussion, but regardless of that, they've made these trades to make it work. Your farm system is young. It will get better with the players you already have. And then with the international signing pool that you've just got, that gets bigger and bigger, it seems, over the last few weeks. So I'm not too worried about it. The Mariners have done better over the last decade or so with their minor league system. I feel fine with it. You're going to have to make these trades anyway. And if you want to win now, you have to make these sorts of trades. So to those who are worried about it, live a little, please. Be a little bit more, in the now, especially if you want to win now. We're not looking at a Mariners team that's rebuilding. This is a roster that wants to win now, even if it is young, with guys like Julio Rodriguez. So I'm more than happy with it. Again, I'll hammer it home once again. Trades, something's got to go back. You're not going to get a fleece every single time. But, I think Justin Hollander and Jerry Dipoto made the most of the current situation and made this team better. It is better than where we were at when the offseason began, and I'm happy with that. So, sorry to get all excited about it. Speaking of excitement, pitchers and catchers report for the Mariners in 10 days on February 15th. The full squad appears 5 days later from that on February 20th. We are 52 days away from opening day at T-Mobile Park against the Boston Red Sox. So it's exciting. You know, I've talked about it a few times throughout the course that we've been here at Circling Seattle Sports on Converge Media. Baseball has been my first love. My dad, you know, instilled that in me, whether that's for good or bad with this Mariners organization. So it'll be exciting to get guys going back. And again, with the trades that have been made, going back to the real side of the show, it's exciting to see where this team will be getting a guy like Santos out of the pen. Having flamethrowers in Santos, Munoz, and Brash out of the pen is exciting, you know, for the Mariners, not necessarily for opposing pitchers. So that's exciting. Speaking